5G intermission report.
Welcome back inside the Scotiabank Centre. Ramparts up 2-1. Joined now by Mavs Gillis.
Hello.
You had a very exciting interview a few weeks ago where you're going to show us memorabilia like no other.
Okay, so Scotty McRae and I, we went to this house. We thought we would take 45 minutes. We stayed for 5 hours. So what you're in for is a treat. Now the guy on the bench down there, Patrick Waugh, if you're a fan of him, you're going to like this story, but if you're a fan of hockey, you're going to appreciate it as well.
All right, let's take a look.
It's always fun to go to a museum. This ain't a museum. All of this, the game-worn jerseys, the game-used sticks, the plethora of autographs, the 220 table hockey games, yeah, they all belong to Mark.
You start by reading like the back of hockey cards and stuff like that, and hockey news and those sort of things. And then as you get older, you start reading more about the history of the game, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So an inspiration from hockey cards, that's right, 25-cent a pack hockey cards to this priceless mass buildup of hockey history. And if we ever got Guinness World Records on the phone, we could have a plaque coming Mark Guinness's way, just based on the sheer volume of table hockey games.
I started collecting in the 80s with cards, but then I get into memorabilia more in the 90s. So I've always caught my eye over table hockey games. I played them, but more importantly to me, I realized that they're collectible and they're something that they look nice. They're part of hockey history and a bit of Canadiana too. The golden age of these games really are from about 1956, 57 to about 10 years later, 67, 68. So this is a neat game from 1972, and so Coleco had a promotion basically to have pretty much in every NHL city a table hockey game showing the team in that city. So Montreal would have one, Toronto, Vancouver, etc. So out east, there was then the NHL team, and to expand Coleco and through a Nesbitt's promotion, they decided to have the only ever produced American Hockey League table hockey game, which ended up being the Nova Scotia Voyageurs through Al McNeil, who was the coach, and coached the Habs too at one point, so he had some notoriety, so they put him and the V's on the game for the game being produced here in Nova Scotia.
All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, and by elephant, I mean the Montreal Canadiens. If you haven't noticed, and I'm sure you have, one team has been a little more prominent than the rest.
My dad, so he was a Habs fan, so back in those days, you just grew up, that's your team, so that's kind of how it started for me, and there's really no other reason for it than that, but from a young age, I loved them through and through, so it was something that, was a bond on me, for sure, and literally my mood changes, even to this day, with how they do. Then I get obviously into collecting, Habs memorabilia. My first autograph was Mike McPhee, actually, that I got, and that was in 87, summer of 87. One thing fed off the other, and the Habs were ingrained in me, for sure. So.
And just like every Habs fan in Mark's generation, there's one player that has meant the most to them in Le Bleu, Blanc et Rouge.
So I have a whole room and a bit of a shrine just to Patrick himself, and then the whole area of Canadiens memorabilia as well. But through the years, I always wanted something that Waugh used. So in my mind, I wanted a jersey. I wanted a Patrick Waugh game-worn sweater. So I finally acquired one after simply not knowing how to access one when I'm very young to through auctions and other ways of trying to find them. Eventually got one. I got one from 1994 that he'd used playing for the Habs. So to me, that's probably one of my more prized pieces that I have in terms of Waugh things. But I also like the game-used sticks and even just some of the other memorabilia that I've acquired. But anything Patrick and the Habs is good in my books, but the jersey was a big one. So
now Mark found out that he shares something in common with Patrick Waugh. Both have the passion for collecting.
So I knew for a long time as a collector. So finally get to have that conversation with him, we were talking collectibles probably about 10 years ago now. It was like maybe 08 or 09, something like that. It's pretty neat because it's the guy I collect and the guy who was my idol, who's also a collector. So that was pretty cool. And just to have that conversation was special to me, for sure.
But is there anything left out there that would be special to add to this stockpile?
I'm not saying I'm going to get all every game that ever existed, but there are those 10 or 15 I'd really like to get. So there's still the thrill of the hunt. I look for a lot of deceased Hall of Famer signatures. I try to find those. And I'm still heavily into collecting game used, game worn heads items, or Hall of Famers. And quite honestly, the interest sways from day to day. You know, for a while there was some local pieces. That's one thing I found with the collecting is that there's always been something different that's piqued my interest. So sometimes you might say, you know what, I love my table hockey games, but your focus just changes into, you know, maybe some of the game worn stuff or vintage stuff. I got a big collection of vintage memorabilia pre-1970. So I'm just focusing on that for a few months, and then I get into more local stuff. I'm looking for, you know, V's and loose heads and things like that nature. You know, so it always changes, but collectively it's made a large collection. I call them sub collections of the collection. So
That cardboard might haunt me.
I can't stress enough how nice a guy Mark Innes was. We can't think of enough for letting us into his room and into like his basement. It was wild. And as we stressed, all that stuff was game used. Was messing around with an Al McGinnis stick and seeing, look, it's not one of these $300 sticks. It was a pure wooden stick. And the way he got his slap shot, by taking shots at a barn in Cape Breton. You don't need a synergy. You don't need a $300 stick. You need the will to figure out how to hammer that puck.
Well, hey, Z-Bubble got me a lot of goals in the day, but you're right. Hey, we'll say that.
I don't know a lot about scoring goals, so leave it to me not.
We'll leave it to the guys on the ice, too, as the third period is right around the corner here on Eastlake Community TV. Stay with us.